Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Bill Robinson. He's the head men's basketball coach, Milligan University. They are the Buffaloes. Welcome, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Before we get started, you guys are in eastern Tennessee there, just north of Asheville. Were you guys affected by that storm?
Our area was hit very hard. Campus was not touched. So we had communities all around us that were hit. We've had some players that had family members that lost homes or teammates from high school. But the campus itself and the area right there by Milligan, we didn't get touched at all. So we were very fortunate.
Well, you were very blessed. Well, that's good to hear. You really caught my eye this weekend. You and I were just talking before we started. You head down to Florida, always a tough trip. You said it was 12 hours, I think, to play a couple historically very good teams. And in the first night, you beat Florida College on their home court. And then the next night, you followed it up with a win over Weber International, which has a great basketball program. What were your feelings when you got in the bus to head down to Florida? How did you feel about the team?
Well, I really like our team. We're deep. We're deeper than we've been, and probably in my 31 years as a head coach, probably the deepest team I've ever had. So we felt like we had a good squad. We just haven't really had time to mesh. So we just didn't really know. We brought in 4 transfers along with a good group of returners. So just trying to figure out exactly how we're going to play against somebody else. Hoping really if we went 1-1, I would have been really pleased. So to go down and win both, we're just a great start to our season.
Coach, that's what I was thinking. You could have got swept down there and nobody would have really thought ill will of you. It's a tough trip, right? And so to come out of there 2-0, I mean, you just got to be. What surprised you about your team? They must have shown a lot of toughness.
The defense and the rebounding, I think, is the biggest difference. It's hard to tell how good you can be defensively playing against only your team. So for us to be able to go down there, and I thought the rebounding was the big deal for me. I think Weber, we out-rebounded 45-19, something. I've never had a great rebounding team that was a bad team. So that's an encouraging thing to know that we can rebound with just about anybody, I believe.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I'm a bit of a stat nerd, and I go through I'm going through stats all season, right? And the biggest predictor of who won the game is if you look at the rebounding. I'm not saying every time, but very rarely does a team get beat back, especially if they get beat bad on the boards. Very rarely will they win. Coach,
very true.
You've got a pretty big, strong team this year. That's the book on them. That's what coaches say. I do want to ask you, though, what is your connection with these New Zealand guys? You got, I think, 3 of them.
Yeah, I just had a buddy when I was at Montreat College. I had a buddy who was a D1 coach, and we became friends. And he went over to Australia actually for 10 years. And when he got back, he called me and said, "You're the only coach friend of mine that's still at the same school." And his name was Damon Stevenson. Damon and I just connected, and came over here. And he got asked to coach an all-star team in the States when he came back. But a team from Australia, New Zealand, they sent a group over, and he coached them. And he had a point guard on his team named Finn McClure, and he called me and said, "Hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I got a kid for you. He's not a D1 player. You just love him. He's from New Zealand." And I took him sight unseen, and I just took him off Damon's recommendation. And he said, "If you get one, you'll get more." And we have. 2 of his friends from home came. We haven't made the trip to New Zealand. We don't have that kind of budget.
Right.
But they just have had a great experience here. They're great kids. They're excellent students. And have turned out to be really good players for us too.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Australia and New Zealand there's actually very good basketball down there. People don't realize that.
Yep, very true. One of the guys, Sam Gold, who starts at the 3 for us right now, his brother plays at Marquette for Shaka. So it's just a great basketball family and great basketball tradition over there. So we're all 3 of them graduate this year. I'm not sure how we're going to do it without them next year. We're going to try, but just wonderful kids, and they've made a great impression, not just on our team, but in our community.
You have a sophomore, McCaskill Rivers. He had a great weekend this weekend. 6'7". He's out of Charlotte. He's only a sophomore. Boy, what do you feed him?
Yeah, Mac was a freshman, on the all-freshman team, on the all-conference team as a freshman. His dad played at UT, played at Tennessee with Allen Houston and that group, and his dad actually made the trip down to Florida to see him play. He's just, one of those kids that just knows how to put the ball in the basket. I don't know how else you can say it. He's got a great mid-range game. He finishes in the post. He can finish in transition. He can shoot the 3 a little bit, something he's still working on. But he's he's going to be a good, solid 3-point shooter for us in the future. He loves to play, and he just wants to be in the gym all the time, and he's just somebody he put the ball in his hands. He makes plays, and every coach wants a guy who can make some.
Elijah Bradford, I think he plays point for you. He's a guard at any rate. It kind of caught my eye. He got 10 rebounds over the weekend. I'm always impressed with the smaller guys that can pull down a lot of boards.
Both of our point guards, Finn, who I just talked about from New Zealand, and Elijah, they both just have a nose for the basketball. Elijah's just a great athlete. He can get his elbow in the rim at 6'1".
Wow.
Finn is not that way, but they just have a nose for it. And again, the rebounds have changed since I played, where you used to just box out and let the ball hit the floor and somebody go pick it up, or somebody go get it above the rim. Now you're chasing rebounds. The long shots lead to long rebounds, and it's whoever gets there first. And it's those little extra hustle plays, and that's what Elijah did. He's out hustling people for basketball, and he's fighting for time. He transferred from Lincoln Memorial Division, a really great Division II program. And anything you can do to make yourself stand out a little bit to get some more minutes, I think that's what he's trying to do right now, and it's working.
Well, yeah, if he can grab rebounds as well as score the ball the way he does. Now you got to talk about. I'm going to say his name wrong. Hanji Tamba from Congo.
Yeah, it's Anje Tamba.
Yeah. You talk about a rebounder. And man, he was a vacuum cleaner all weekend. That guy can board. How tall is he?
He's 7 foot.
Wow.
And he went to Knox Catholic in Knoxville with Breadwood and with Luke Lentz, who hit some threes for us yesterday. All three of those guys went to high school together. Luke's dad is an assistant at UT at Tennessee. I say UT. I know nationally UT means Texas, but around here it means Tennessee. But he redshirted at Tennessee his freshman year, then transferred to Weber State up in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And his AAU coach we know, and of course Lentz's dad coaches at Texas at the real UT. Most people would say the real UT.
Okay.
But Lentz's grandfather was Rick Barnes' coach in college at Lenoir-Rhyne.
Wow.
So there's the connection. So Luke's dad works for Rick Barnes at Tennessee. So when this kid was at Tennessee and redshirted, we got to know his AAU coach, got to know his family a little bit. They basically just looking for a place to play. So he turned down a couple D1 offers, and he had all kinds of people calling when he hit the portal, but he just wanted to play. And he graduated, brilliant, smart kid, just a great student, graduated in 3 years, has 2 years of eligibility left. And our master's program for business, our MBA program, is a 2-year program. So it's just matched up perfectly. He's got 2 years of eligibility. He's 7 foot, but he runs the floor like a guard. He played soccer until he was 16 years old. So our conditioning drills are like nothing for him. He just runs.
Man.
So it's been a great addition. And he not going to – I mean, I think he had 3 blocks the first night. I don't expect him to have a ton of blocks like that every game, but he alters so many shots.
Yeah.
When people get in the lane and they see him, they either rush a shot or they make a pass they shouldn't make, or he just disrupts everything inside. So and then when he does rebound, he knows how to get the ball out to our guards, and then he just runs. So I think that's the biggest difference with us defensively right now, is to have a true rim protector. We just haven't had somebody like that in a long, long time.
Yeah, that's the overlooked value of a tall guy like that is how many shots does he prevent? How many times does the guy not go down the lane because he's there? You just mentioned him in your graduate program as a great student. Coach Robinson, you've been around a few years. You're really known as a coach that really stresses the student part of student athlete. That means a lot to you. I know that. So why don't you talk about that? Talk about how important it is for the students.
Yeah, my philosophy is just different about life. I know I'm never going to coach at Carolina or Duke. I work camp at Duke. I work camp at Carolina for 20 years. So I understand the differences, and I like the small college life. And the biggest thing for me is that my philosophy of coaching is that the people are more important than program. Program's more important than winning's important. We have to win to keep our jobs. We want to win. It's much more fun for a 12-hour bus drive after winning 2 games than losing 2 games. But the people have to come first. So, and I've been at small Christian colleges, so we want kids who want to be at a Christian college who can make it academically. Milligan is maybe the Vanderbilt, of our league academically. It's harder than every place else. We have 4 semesters of humanities, 3 semesters of Bible. Kids really have to be great students to be able to succeed here. And we lose kids. Even good high school kids come and they're just not ready for what the academic work that entails. So we have to be able to find a different type of kid, a kid who can do the work, who wants to be at a Christian college, who can do the work in the classroom, and then lastly be able to win games. And it takes time. I've won over 400 games and I've lost over 400 games, and it's not about the wins and losses. Nobody cares what my record is. They just care that my kids graduate and become great people and a great part of what community is around here.
That's so important, and I tell young men all the time, this basketball thing is it's finite, and even if you're able to play a couple years after college, and that's a great honor, and very few get that, but the clock starts to run out on you, so you need that education. Yes. Coach, you're heading up this weekend up to Huntington. You're going to play both Clary. Are they D1 or D2 or D3?
I think they're D3 if I'm not mistaken, but I know it's a relatively new program.
Yeah, but you're going up there to Huntington. You're gonna play Huntington while you're there. You're gonna get tested there. They've got that remodeled gym's a really great place to play. And then you're taking the long bus ride back, and the following Tuesday you're going over to Winston-Salem, which is about 4 hours from you. You're going to be on the road quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's part of the plan. We want our guys to be tested early and be road warriors and learn what it's like. The atmosphere Friday night at Florida College was amazing. They had a great pep band. The kids were loud. They got a dunk early, and you felt like the roof was about ready to come off. And I want our guys to experience that from being the visiting team and see what it's like. And then you have to overcome those adversity type moments. And I know Huntington's very good. They're really, really good. And again, one of those things we think it ahead of time. If we can just learn how to compete against those teams, they're national tournament type teams. We want to experience that before we get into conference play on the road and really challenge ourselves. So it's all part of the plan, and it's probably a dumb plan on my part, but I really do want to get out there and experience those tough gyms and those tough places to play against really good competition, against really good coaches, and it just make us better come conference.
Yeah, no, I think you're going to find very few people argue with you about that. I talked to Demario Jackson. He's over at LSUA, and he went over to Wiley and got out of there alive. But that's a wild place too, and he said the same thing. You've got to schedule those places where those people are going to come after you.
I've coached at Wiley. I know exactly what he's talking about. I was in Texas for 4 years, and those are tough places to win. And you can be 20 points better and walk out with a 3-point win and feel like you did something really well because it's that tough. It's
really important to get your guys in front of that, isn't it?
It is, and it allows them then when you do get into significant. There's always going to be conflict. There's going to be hills you got to fight up, and when they get there and they've already been there, it's easier to go up that hill that second, third, fourth time. So even didn't try to call a whole lot of timeouts. Let them fight through some of that. And allow them to really feel like they have some ownership in what's going on. And the guys have been really positive. Our bench was great. The problem with bringing in 4 transfers is we have guys who played a lot last year that didn't play at all this weekend. They were still energetic. They're still up on the bench. They're still trying to be great teammates. That's what I was more happy about.
Yeah.
I think the wins are great, and it's great to see some new guys, but to have guys who have been in the program. Flynn Carlson's one of them. He started for 3 years and didn't play a minute this weekend and was still up cheering, and he's playing behind Tamba now, and it's going to be hard for him to get some minutes. So I am hoping that he gets him some run here soon. The reason we're going up to Huntington is for him. It's his senior year and trying to play. He's from Valparaiso, Indiana. It's a 9-hour trip. Huntington's 2 hours from home. They'll have a bunch of people there. So I want him to be able to get some time. We may even start him one game just to appreciate all the work that he's done. He's a Milligan kid. He's a great student. He loves Jesus. He's a great student part of the community. He just is he's exactly the type of kid we want. So that needs to be rewarded too.
Yeah, Coach, you defended really well this weekend. I don't have to tell you, you didn't shoot very well this weekend.
Nope.
Does that concern you? And do you expect the team to be a much better 3-point shooting team than you showed this weekend?
Yeah, we've got some really good shooters, and what's going to suffer on a 12-hour bus trip? And it's going to be your legs. And I was glad that we were able to defend the way we were without. We got down there late Thursday night, get a little shoot around at noon on Friday. And the funny thing, we shot the ball really well on shoot around. I thought, well, we're going to be okay. But we've got some great shooters. DeLent's kid he's as good a shooter in a shooting drill. He can, as anybody I've ever had, and he can make shots. He can get hot. He did not play well Friday night. hit 3 big shots on Saturday to really push the lead out. He was the difference in that second half. So we do have guys who can make shots. It's just, it just takes some time. So I'm not concerned about it right now, but 2 for 22 first night's not a great night. So we've got to find ways to overcome that mentally more than physically right now.
Yeah, well, it helps when you out-rebound them by 30 rebounds over the weekend. You know, Coach, be watching with a lot of interest. I know I will, but a lot of people across the country will when you head up there to Indiana. And then, boy, right after that, November 13th, you get going in league already, right?
Yeah, it happens pretty quick.
Man.
And we actually just changed. We were playing 20. I guess we had 1 year, we had 24 conference games. We're down to 20 now, so we don't start quite as early as we used to. But we used to first week of November, we were in the conference play already. So it's a little bit better than it has in the past to be able to play, 5 non-conference games before getting into actually league play. But again, let's test ourselves early. Let's see what we're made of. I think we only have 6 games in the whole month of February because of the way the new schedule is made. It's kind of bizarre. So we're really trying to front load everything and get after people and hopefully just find out more about ourselves on a daily basis.
Well, Coach, we'll have to get you back on after a big win or sometime during that Appalachian Conference. It's always a great run. Last year, that was a great battle. I expect the same thing this year. We'll have to get you back on.
Would love to. That'd be great.
Thank you, Coach. That's Bill Robinson. He's the head men's basketball coach, Milligan Buffaloes. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.